All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. Hopefully, your favorite Chelsea podcast out there, and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. Dan, one of my hosts, and got Nick as well. And our good friend Stamford Chidge is back, fresh off of making the trip to Turf Moor to come give us the view from the ground, as it were, after making the trip up there in the car. I believe that's what they call them over there. Vehicles, cars. We were kind of debating how we, transit in our specific countries.
Well, I mean, I actually have a hybrid automobile, so half of it's green, half of it's not. But on a trip to Burnley, I don't think the green bit would have got me out of Hampshire. So I was petrol heading yesterday.
You didn't take the Aston Martin, Chidge? It seems awfully selfish.
Just the beam. I would have got nicked if I'd have driven to Burnley in that. I settled for the BMW, Nick.
Okay.
Well, look, this is our Burnley match review. Again, Chelsea won that game 2-0 on goals from Pedro Neto in the 37th minute and Enzo Fernandez in the 88th minute. And in this episode, we'll be getting into just taking a look at the rotation game Enzo Maresca is playing, his work to get Chelsea across the line and do just enough to win matches and protect the squad, and our opinions on how we think he's getting along with that. And then we'll talk a little bit about just Chelsea's generally very, very positive weekend ahead of a really, really testing week for a match against Barcelona and Arsenal. But Nick, as we always do to set the stage, just a little three-word match review to be the amuse-bouche for this episode, to give listeners a little bit of a taste about how people felt about this game and our three-word match reviews as well.
Yes, from Discord, and one of my favorite usernames, Breaded Shrimp, which I feel just is tremendous. Santos Saturday Showcase. Absolutely, we'll be talking about one Andre Santos, man of the match. Clip Show with Good Boring Win. Childish Gambino with Ecstasy of Goals. And then Kyle Caicedo got rest.
Those are all very accurate. Nick, what was yours?
I went with Ready, Steady, Go. We have now entered what is going to be a big month and change because we're fully back, and just don't go too fast too quickly. It's kind of my thing.
Chidge, you have a three-word match review?
No, I haven't thought of one, but I'll think of one now.
Okay, perfect.
I would go for
live.
The absolute bollocks.
Okay.
Because that's what away days are all about, mate.
Well, we will get into the specifics of yours. I went with No Birthday Blues. I had a nice birthday yesterday. It was super great. And look, it would have been ruined if the first thing at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time in the U.S. that I woke up super early on a Saturday morning to watch Chelsea lose. It would have been a really bad start to a birthday. So thank you very much, Chelsea, for not ruining my day with one of the few wins, or so few losses rather, that you'll register in the year. Nick, let's just get into the rotation game. We're back from an international break. Enzo Maresca has to shift the deck a little bit as it relates to the players he puts out there. And I think maybe a couple of changes that people wouldn't have been maybe necessarily expecting, or maybe were expecting.
Yeah, so it's Sanchez between the sticks. No surprise there. Reece James back for one half of football in this one. Tosin Adarabioyo, Trev Chalobah, Mark Cucurella make up the back line. Enzo Fernandez and Andre Santos make up the midfield. Jamie Gittins, Joao Pedro Neto, and Liam Delap kind of make up the attacking four. Used subs of Benoit Badiashile, Malo Gusto, Mark Guiu. Unused subs, Jorgensen, Chempong, Hato, Caicedo, Stevao, and Garnacho.
I mean, Chidge, you made the trip north. You didn't get to see Moises Caicedo play on the day, but just in general with the lineup, how do you feel about, just maybe Enzo Maresca kind of rotating, making sure that the team stays fresh to look ahead into next week? It feels like he kind of ticked all the boxes on trying to make sure like mission success across the next, 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't quite know what kind of shape they're going to be in when they come back for the international break, particularly when it's a 12:30 kickoff, which wouldn't have helped him. We know that there are quite a few players carrying injuries. I wasn't sure that Fernandez would start, actually, because I know he's carrying an injury, and I was a bit concerned about Pedro. I thought Caicedo would get a rest because man, I mean, he played 180 minutes in his 2 internationals, didn't he? So he's probably carrying some sort of an injury, although he seems to be indestructible. And of course, I thought he'd have one eye on Barcelona on Tuesday. So it I thought they would rotate as much as they could. I pretty much, when we did our show on Friday, I pretty much got it spot on. I Santos coming in, I thought was a good move. I didn't put him in my team, but some of the others did. I was a bit disappointed to see Gittin start and not Garnacho, because I rate Garnacho more highly, and I spat my Guinness out when I saw Tosin on the team sheet, because he has the capacity to have an absolute nightmare, but he didn't, as it happened, so that was good. So yeah, it's kind of what I expected. I was really pleased to see Delap start. He needs more minutes. I'm picking Neto over Esteval, much to everybody's annoyance and bewilderment. But I think he rates Neto, and I think Neto does a great job for the team, and he was excellent yesterday. So yeah, it's kind of broadly what I expected.
And, I mean, Nick, maybe kind of teeing into a little bit of that there. Did you have any thoughts on just maybe the kind of the winger setup on this? It did feel like Estevao, again, another great international break for him, another kind of moment to move forward just in his kind of personal footballing journey. But, I think obviously Pedro Neto gets some rest. He's going to be a little bit fresher. You don't know what that, South American to, Europe/UK return is always a little bit more of a challenging type of situation to get back for versus those who are kind of playing in Europe in their international breaks. Did kind of make sense, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily for the Brazil team, they were just in France, so this wasn't like a normal one. Like when they came back from the previous international break, they came back from Tokyo, which was a whole different deal. So yeah, I look, part of what my 3-room match review is like you have 20 games coming up that you need to play. You don't need to do it all today. You don't need to get everyone force fit back in. You're going to have quite an opportunity to showcase most of the squad over the next month and a half to get through to like the new year, whenever the Fulham game is, like right after the new year. So, I just like take it slow and steady, man. Like this is going to be a hell of a stretch without, all the nagging injuries and stuff kind of catching up with you early. So I was good with the rotation. I think there's probably going to need to be more of it as you look at what's coming up.
No more rotation. I mean,
Yep.
Chidge, you made the call out just around this idea of the 12:30 kickoffs, and the stat was that Chelsea have now won 8 of those in a row. So like, even though we know Enzo Maresca doesn't love the time slot, I think supporters don't love the time slot. It has played well for Chelsea in terms of our favor in it. Can you maybe just like talk about why that is a less ideal time slot, and maybe give us a little bit of the recap just around seeing a match at Turf Moor for those of us who have not been? What should we visualize as from an experience standpoint of going to Turf Moor?
My God, we could do a whole show just on this.
I mean, right.
Dealing with the 12:30 kickoff. Firstly, I mean, it's interesting. I noticed that stat as well last Friday, to our astonishment, because the feeling is that we're rubbish at 12:30 kickoffs, but we've now won 8, I think, on the spin. So clearly, for some bizarre reason, it suits them. I have no idea why. I mean, I suppose if you drill down, a lot of it will be to do with who we're playing. But from a supporter's point of view, I mean, ironically, this is a view that you will both share. It's an absolute nightmare. You're still in bed. I mean, what time was it, East Side, on Saturday? 12:30.
It was 7:30 a.m. for me to
6:30 for me,
which means I'm waking up around like 7. Which for Nick, that means he's waking up at 6:30. To see the game at start, and then that's not even people like in Hawaii in the U.S. too. It's like there's a huge.
So California, it'll be what time? 5:30.
4:30.
4:30. I mean, that's just So you actually share this one for once, but I mean, for me, I'm in Winchester, which is about an hour and a half southwest of London. So it's marginally longer to get there. So it's 250 miles away. That's a 4.5-hour drive without stops. So I had to get up at 5:30 and then drive up there. and then it's the same on the way back. So it's a real slog when you go somewhere like that. I mean, the bizarre thing is, as I said to you before we went on air, I know that the distances in the States are absolutely mental compared to what they are here, and you're all used to driving a long way. But the roads are busier here. It's congested here. It's hard work. It's grueling. So you have to make a real effort. And of course, the television broadcasters pay no heed to the supporters' woes. And for example, I had to drive yesterday. There is no way for me to get a train that will get me to Burnley in time for the match. And I mean, it's not just the 12:30 kickoffs. There's a real move towards having 8 o'clock kickoffs as well now, midweek. I mean, obviously, historically, we've always played midweek, but weekends as well. And again, they have a real habit of putting on an evening kickoff at a time when you can't actually get a train back because the match is still playing the time the last train goes. So it's basically, I think, what winds us up. I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't begrudge any of the effort that I made. And, as I was walking out, I bumped into this brilliant Indian bloke who was saying that he left the East End. He had to get up at 2:30 to get there. But we were laughing about it. No, we don't begrudge that. We don't begrudge the effort we have to make to get there. Even if we'd have been shocking and lost 3-0, we'd have moaned. But it's about going, isn't it? What we do begrudge is the fact that the Premier League and the broadcasters clearly do not give a shit about supporters and how difficult it makes it for them.
Well,
Yeah,
you want to hear about Burnley now? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. I think it's important, right? Because I think most of our half of our audience is U.S. based, and then the rest is rest of the world, and then about a quarter, comes from your lovely country, and so we like getting, I think, a chance to hear a little bit about the challenges of kind of the match going fan, the match going supporter, but also the benefit of getting to go to an away game, because I think you mentioned that you had a great day out. It was absolute bollocks. Yeah. So we need to kind of hear about the positive side of getting to go to that away day.
I mean, obviously it's a bit of a generational thing too. Although I was talking to brilliant. I don't know. You might know him. He's quite active on Twitter, but he's a great mate of ours. Drinks in the Cock with this guy called Simon Kirby, and I randomly ended up sitting next to him yesterday. So we had a really good chat. And he's the same age as me, which is 60 for the record. And we were saying how lovely it is to see so many young people at away games. It's not just the old farts there. You get a lot of youngsters there, and that seems to have been a trend that's risen in recent years. And I think a lot of that's down to the fact that it's only 30 quid for a ticket for an away game. So it's actually a lot more affordable if you're younger. And I think the ethnic mix is massively different from what it was when I was going, as you can probably imagine. But that's good to see as well. So it's a very interesting demographic that's going. Everybody's up for it. I thought without sounding like a sourpuss, I went to the Emirates last season for the away there. It was an awful match where we raised the white flag before the whistle had even gone for kickoff. So there's all of that, which doesn't help. But I thought the demographic in there was terrible. It was clear that because it was a London away match, the ones that just want to be there to say they were there. And I hate to say tourists, there's a difference between, I know a lot of your listeners, a lot of them listen to our show too. I've met a lot of them when they've come over here. They're bona fide fans. They absolutely get it. Why on earth wouldn't they? Right? But you do get, and I think increasingly these days with the way that football's being run, what I would call football tourists, who are not supporters of Chelsea, who were there because it's an entertainment. It's like going to the Royal Opera House. Oh, well, let's go and see the Chelsea-Arsenal game. That'll be fun. So there are a lot of people like that in there. And when you get people like that in there, it destroys the atmosphere. Yesterday, what you had was an awkward away game to get to at a horrible time where really the people that were there, they really wanted to be there. And I think that's reflected in the atmosphere, which, you guys would have been watching it on TV. It sounded loud where I was, but I've seen a lot of comments saying that the atmosphere was great. I would say it was a great away end yesterday. It was just, no travellers. It was all proper fans who were really trying to get the most out of it they could. And on the other side, why Burnley? Why do I love going to Burnley? Burnley's quite a small town in Lancashire, kind of somewhere. It's in between Leeds and Manchester. And it's in the moors, so it's beautiful countryside around it. But it's part of the industrial heritage of this country. So, in the 1800s, it would have been full of cotton mills, basically. So you've still got all these it's very Victorian feel, a lot of, red brick chimneys around. It's dead poor because that industry disappeared. It's got an interesting racial mix these days as well, but it's a proper old northern town. It's small and proper. And I mean, the locals are actually quite friendly. I've always found them pretty friendly up there. They have weird things to eat, like Eccles cakes. And I discovered a drink called Benny and Hot, which is Benedictine, which is a liqueur, and hot water, which was brought back by, in the First World War, when we had conscription, what the government did is that they conscripted kind of whole regiments from towns, and they used to call them the PALS regiments. So there would have been a PALS regiment in Burnley. And when they were in the trenches in the First World War in Belgium, because Benedictine is a Belgian liqueur, they devised this drink to keep them warm. And in a place like Burnley, you need it because it's one of the coldest places I've ever been to, usually. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad yesterday. But, you're stuck right up at the top of the stand and you look out and you see the moors. It's beautiful. So it's a proper old football club, proper old town, proper north, grim up north, all of that kind of stuff. Proper old stadium. It's everything that's great about football, I think, in this country. So it's an away game I love going to, no matter how early I have to get up or how far I have to drive. So, yeah, big up the Burnley. I love going there.
Well, we're going to love also talking about how we destroyed them on the football pitch in just a few moments. We'll do that after our first ad break.
So stay tuned. Interesting choice of adjective there. Destroyed? I was there, mate.
Stay tuned and we'll be right back. All right, so maybe just a couple of things. We can kind of go to the stats of just doing enough, Nick. I mean, I say destroy because statistically, Chelsea did dominate Burnley as it relates to the numbers. I know you're an eye test guy. Chidge was there. Also gives him the benefit of the eye test as well. 1.72 XG to the Chelsea. The bad guys, 0.44. They had one big chance, R2. They had 8 shots in total to R15. Their goalkeeper had to come out a few more times to make some saves, 3 to R2. We should have given up a handball penalty in the very early part from Chalobah, so that was not adjudicated appropriately. Thank you very much, Premier League officials. We appreciate it. Just your thoughts maybe on the match. How do you feel it went down, as it were?
It was about grinding out a result. I don't think it was about anything more than that. We didn't give them much, and so I think after you get the first goal, you expect them to come out from their shell a little bit more. It didn't really do that. I think they were fine losing 1-0 rather than losing 2-0, and which I've never understood in my life. But that's kind of the way that it went. And look, I don't think it was a dominant performance in the way that we have shown against other teams, but I do think it was hard for them to find the ball on the pitch. And despite it being a little bit of a clunky performance, there was actually some good, really good performances in there. And especially in the second half, I don't know, Chidge, if you agree with this, it felt like we were starting to pick up the stride a little bit in the second half and find those kind of outlet balls so that we weren't getting trapped. Because I think I didn't expect Burnley to press as much as they did. They ended up doing a little bit of pressing. And so I think we were smart to kind of find those outlets and move up the field as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was grinding out a result. And I don't have a problem with that. We came away with 3 points. It's a tricky match. Burnley are no mugs, as they've proved this season. Just because, I was saying the other night that, well, come on, the last kind of 5-6 times we played Burnley up there, it's been a 3 or a 4. So why should it be any different? But, he made a lot of changes, well, not a huge amount of changes, but I tell you what, we missed Caicedo as you would expect, which is ironic, really, given that Santos got the man of the match. And I did think he had a very good game. And I'm really pleased that we've got somebody in there now who can deputise for Caicedo because, with Asugo out injured, Lavia, you just can't rely on him. You need a bit of backup for Caicedo, but there's no doubt in my mind we missed his energy as we always do when he's not playing. But I thought we scored a very good goal. It took us a long time to break them down, and I think this is the frustration that a lot of supporters have, and it's kind of, I think, probably evidence of the disconnect between what our needs are. As supporters, you need excitement, you need attacking, you need great runs, great balls through, shots on goal, excitement. That's why we go. Managers need something else, and it disconnects totally from that. He wants possession, he wants control, he wants no risk, he wants the everything that we don't want. So I think this is why you get all these brouhahas on social media all the time, and Maresca gets dug out, and the rest of it. At the end of the day, you judge a match at the end of 90 minutes, and you judge a season at the end of the season as to where you'll be. And if his negative risk-averse football gets us a few trophies, I don't think anybody will be complaining. But if you've got to go and watch it, it can be really frustrating. And there was a lot of frustration in the stands yesterday. Took us a long time to get the first goal. And I think the other thing about Chelsea, none of us trust them not to concede a stupid goal. So we then had to hang on for the entire second half, thinking Burnley are going to get one. Burnley are going to get one. We need another goal. And we kept on saying it all around us, we need another goal. And then we did. We got one on 88 minutes, and that put the game to bed. But there was an awful lot of frustration in between all of that. With trying to break them down and not putting the ball in the back of the net, And I think that actually on another day, if we'd have been playing a decent, Burnley basically had plenty of chances. That's what the stats won't really tell you, but they broke through a lot. Chalobah and Tosin did all right at the back, as did Sanchez. Santos put out a lot of fires, but a side that actually were better than Burnley, who could actually put the ball in the back of net, would have hurt us yesterday. I'm pretty sure of that, and it would have been a different outcome. But the reality is, at 90 minutes, it's 2-0. We scored two really good goals, I thought, and a tricky fixture, another away win. We're second in the league. Good God, what's going on? I mean, if you can't be happy at that, then you can't really be happy at life, I don't think.
I think that is a very excellent way to summarize it. I mean, Enzo Maresca's comment about it was to come here not concede is very difficult. It's hard. It's normal to concede something, but overall they had only one real chance during the game. They didn't have any big chances, and during the game we had loads of chances. I mean, this also, Nick, kind of continues actually a string of results now. Starting with the 1-0 win over Tottenham, the 3-0 win over the Wolves, and now the 2-0 over Burnley. If you forget about the 2-1 Sunderland, you also could go back to the 3-0 Forest game. And actually, Chelsea are starting to pick up clean sheets in Premier League fixtures, which, if we think about things and how tight this top of the table could potentially become as of next weekend, a goal difference could be one of the most important things as we think about the entirety of the season. And we absolutely need to score at least a few goals past Arsenal just to absolutely abolish any chance they have of our wonderful defensive record too. So, I mean, there's a lot of things we are considering about the upcoming weekend.
We're not solving it all in a week, though. So,
but we can. We're Chelsea. We do the indomitable and incredible things all the time.
No, your optimism is being put out directly here right now, day after your birthday, bringing some truth. Because look, our defense was good enough last year, in my opinion. Like, we were in the 50s for conceded goals. It wasn't, shambolic. We rarely had a big off day where we conceded a bunch. Like, it's about putting away the chances that you have. If this team wants to advance, we only have 3 more goals this season than Set Piece FC Arsenal do. If we want to advance, if we want to show up in a big way and put these sorts of games away, you got to have better shot conversion. It's the entire ball game for the season. And I think only on 11 goals conceded right now, you're on a pretty good pace for the season. Like, those clean sheets are obviously going to help that, but you need more in the attacking department. And I want to see this team get that first goal, go get a second, go get a third, really just, put your foot on the gas and not be in the 88th minute against Burnley being like, God, if we concede this is going to be a terrible result. I mean, I think like that's the the ball game for me now.
I mean, Chidge, and this is kind of, I mean, the way to kind of slice this is if you think about it, Chelsea had 15 shots in total on the day. Of those, 5 were on target. So if we think about 2 goals off of the 5 on target, 40%. If you're thinking about the overall shot volume, you're looking at, closer to 13% in terms of total conversion off of all shots. So is it more of a volume game at this moment? Chelsea just need to be shooting more, because it seems like if we actually hit it on target, we're doing a good job of putting the ball in the back of the net.
This is all part of the disconnect that I'm talking about, and it works both ways. There's what you feel as a supporter, and you're there. I mean, actually, even if you're watching the telly, I don't think it makes any difference. I mean, we see more of the game, obviously, but for example, Pedro did a shot yesterday that I think hit the post, and yeah, I mean that's a good effort. That could have been a goal. Fernandez putting it over the bar by 10 yards is not a good effort, but they both count as shots. Okay, one would possibly be on target, one wouldn't, or a limp shot that he didn't catch right that the goalkeeper easily saves is going to make you want to punch the person next to you if you're there, but it'll be counted as a shot on target in the stats. Yeah. And that's what I mean about this disconnect. But let's swing it around the other way, Nick, what you were saying. I wouldn't disagree with the words you said. And yet I look at the table and we're the second highest scorers in the league without Cole Palmer, who is usually our top goal scorer. So go figure, it's so difficult. And I think I go back to what I was saying, and I think a lot of the frustration that you get both at the bridge and away is really the disconnect between what supporters want and what they're used to and what the manager wants in terms of how he wants to play the game. And there is no doubt in my mind that he is risk averse. He likes control. That's what all the possession is about. He doesn't like players shooting from 20, 30 yards out because he thinks that presents an opportunity for the opposition to transition and then score. I get it. And you know what? If it's successful, then fine. I mean, I'm old enough to remember George Graham when he was manager of Arsenal, when you got that infamous chant 1-0 to the Arsenal. It was the most boring bloody football you would ever see in your life. But you go and ask any Arsenal fans who won the title in, what was it, 1991, maybe around that time, they'll tell you how much they loved it. So it also tells you something else about supporters. We're just never satisfied. If we won every game 1-0 and it was boring as hell, we'd probably be delighted that we'd win the league. But then we'd be saying, oh, the football was shit, though, And if we were playing the most attacking, brilliant, fantastic football, creating chances, scoring goals, and losing 5-4 every week, we'd be going, well, that's rubbish, isn't it, really?
I think it's about, because I think your analysis here is correct. I think it's about what your goals and objectives are. So if you are a person who's like, well, Chelsea, despite having the youngest squad in the league or one of the youngest squads in the league, should be challenging for a Premier League title or deep into the Champions League this year, then I think you see cracks that need to be filled in the way the team performs. Yeah. If you're a person that goes, hey, the odd trophy at the end of the year, however it comes by hook or by crook, and getting into the Champions League next year and into the top 4, then I think what you're looking at is serviceable and probably interesting. And I think your point about Cole Palmer not being here, Levi Colwill being out for the season, which is obviously, I think, been an even bigger blow so far from what we've seen. Moise Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez not being healthy, all these sorts of things, like you'd be really pleased with where we are throughout that, sort of context. So if you're a person that looks at this and says, like Dan does every single week, oh man, if Arsenal lose today, we beat Arsenal next week, we're top of the league.
We're all Dan. I am. Yeah. The first thing I did when I got home and realised he was second in the table, I was like, oh my God, we've got Arsenal next week. We're only 3 points behind them. And if Tottenham beat them today, and of course, because that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. My ambitions are high. I'm not one of these people that's just like, well, if Chelsea kind of get one over the line at the end of the year, I'm super happy. Like, I think we should be perennially one of the best teams in
Yeah.
Europe. I think we should
Yeah.
be up there. We have certainly spent enough money to justify
And we
being up
have
there.
been, Nick.
Yeah.
And this is part of the problem. You know, I mean, I met this lovely guy yesterday called Ollie, and he's 27, so he's known nothing but huge elite European level success for this football club. And I'm 60, and I remember when we were completely rubbish and had no chance of dreaming about being that kind of a football club. But you know, I'm with Ollie. I want to see him. I want to see us doing that every year. I want to see us winning everything every year. And of course, because we had to rip it up and start again, I think that's also part of it. It's, you know, trying to really come to terms with a completely new reality. And I mean, I think Tuchel nailed it, as he so often did. But he said that comment about, you know, I want to see Chelsea competing. This is a club that always has to be competing, not necessarily winning everything every year, but we need to be competing. That means we need to be, you know, close to winning the league, if not winning it. We need to be close to winning the FA Cup or in the final and the League Cup. And we need to be semi-finals, finals, and winning Champions Leagues. He got it. He got what kind of a club we were. But I don't think any of us really know what kind of a club we are now. And I think that's also part of the disconnect and the issue.
Well, I mean, I think you look at this too, and like that competing thing is a big part of this, right? So like Chelsea are now in this like really advantageous position. What do we do with it, right? What happens?
What's the advantage, Nick?
Well, I think that like you look at who's coming back into the team, and you look at this run that we have coming up, and I mean, if Chelsea are serious about competing in the league in particular, which I had huge doubts about coming into the season, because I thought they prioritized the Champions League. It kind of feels like they've done the opposite a little bit. Then you figure out a way to get these matches won, and I don't give a shit how ugly it is, but you win, right? I think part of this exercise that we're going through right now, Dan, is maybe like just resetting ourselves to like a 1-0 win is just as good as a 5-0 win as it pertains to the end points. And it may be ugly, but can we appreciate the ugliness? David Chang wrote
ugly
a book,
trophies are still trophies, my man. That's the way that I think about it.
So,
but look, we're going to take our last ad break. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about some of the individual performances on the day that caught our eye and Chelsea's a big week ahead. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. I've mentioned him a couple times, so I think it's only fair that we give Andre Santos a little bit of love now after a strong and solid performance, deputizing for Moises Caicedo. Very, very difficult in world football, but Andre Santos had himself an absolute day. 63 touches, 7 duels won, 4 interceptions, 4 clearances, 3 tackles, 2 fouls won, 1 chance created, 1 shot. Some really just absolutely like full body like blocks and tackles too, Nick. Like I think this is the type of player. Like I know you're an Andre Santos guy. I know you love him. I know you've been on the bandwagon for quite some time, but he had some kind of old school type of just like hard body tackles challenges that I think just gets anybody excited.
Yeah, no, this is what I expected of him this season. And I'm glad that it came in a situation where there was no Moises Caicedo. There wasn't going to be Moises Caicedo appearance yesterday. It was all up to him. And he put on a fucking show. It was outstanding. He was easily the best player in the first half, which was a little bit of a dreadful slog. And I think in the second half, Chidge, I looked at this guy as taking his shot, right? This is someone who has kind of been fits and starts, gets the occasional start, but mostly comes in as like a 89th minute sub to close the game out. And he did this all last year at Strasbourg. He is capable of these types of performances.
Nick, is he? I mean, Maresca was saying that he is a number 6. Really, is he a number 6? Really? Because I thought he played a lot further up the pitch for Strasbourg.
I mean, he did play deeper at Strasbourg. He was kind of a deep line playmaker, and then on set pieces, really is excellent in the air and crashed the box. Got a bunch of goals, and he really developed the tackling side of his game over the last year and a half. This was, the half at Nottingham Forest, and then he went to Strasbourg for the half of the season, then was there the entire last season. He's always been able to get forward. He can play as an 8, no problem. it's this development, the defensive side of his game, the anticipation for when passes are going to come through. That was what I was impressed with yesterday. He saw the danger. He put out the danger.
Yeah.
He moved the ball.
Yeah, he was a firefighter yesterday. There's no doubt. Yeah, I'd heard of his reputation at Strasbourg, and I thought he looks a good player. It's good. I mean, I just think of it in the context of what I said earlier, really, which is the. I mean, Fernandes. I'm still not entirely convinced that we know what the right position for him is. Caicedo is arguably the best deep lying midfielder in the world. I think you can absolutely make that case.
It's not arguable to me.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely is.
Not really to me either. So, we either need to find somebody to play with Caicedo or we need a backup for Caicedo. And, the obvious choice would be Lavia. But what can you do with this guy? He's made of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just tragic because when he plays, you can see how good he is. And he makes us better. His ability to pass between the lines is just superb. But he's no good to us if he's on the bench or out injured. So we need backup there. So if Santos can provide that, I'm very happy about that. Because it just, the other thing is, okay, one has to also put the context into this, which we have an extremely young squad, like you were saying earlier, which I think mitigates us really being title challengers this year. But we do have some holes in that squad.
Mm-hmm.
So the more of those holes we can fill, the better, I think. And, backup for Caicedo / Fernandes was an area we were supposed to be strong in. But because of Asugo and Lavia being out, that's not the case. With Palmer out, the number 10 role is, I think, a bit weak because I don't think Esteval's ready. I can see Fernandes playing in that role. I think he's better for when he plays higher up the pitch. I've got to be honest, because I don't think he can defend. And obviously Pedro can do that, but Pedro's an interesting one as well because I think if we're talking about performances yesterday, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I thought Pedro was poor yesterday when I was there, but I read his stats and who am I to argue with stats, people, egg boys? But apparently, Pedro was the top of the charts in the duels. So there you go. Whatever that means. But I thought he was poor, frankly. But I think he's carrying an injury. So I'm not surprised. He's been like that for a few weeks.
I think one of the other things, maybe too, Nick, is just that, we obviously have seen Liam Delap. Maybe struggled to get up to speed, obviously after, his timeout. And he, Guiu actually showed a little bit of fight to kind of set up the second goal. And, I think maybe is he making a case to angle for some more minutes as Delap kind of gets ready right now? Like, where are you at with that?
Yes. Simply put,
no.
Thank you for being so succinct. It's not like you.
I said this on Twitter. I think what we see from Mark Guiu is probably not a starter level talent, but if he can come in and do what he did yesterday, right? The last 20 minutes of the game, relentless pressing, relentless running, being a shithouse player. He's back defending all the way back to the byline on, like a transition opportunity. Like he's just one of these effort guys. I think we in the States, Chidge, call them glue guys.
Glue guys.
Yeah, where you need these type of performances.
You like stick to it and you can't get them off.
It keeps the team together.
Oh, right.
Yeah, more
it's
than
the glue that binds us together. No, because I think it would also work the other way, interestingly enough, because JK always calls him like he runs around like an angry wasp.
Yep.
And I actually completely tangentially, I have a wasp nest in one of my composters at the moment. And when I disturb it, they are all over me like an angry wasp. And I'm trying to get rid of them and they won't go away. So and Guiu is a bit like that, I think.
Well, and just a little bit of composure at the end, right? Like he holds the ball up. He does fantastic to get by his defender. And then it's not an errant shot into the side net, which I think would have, if I was at his position, I probably would have done. It's just a little cutback. It's to the right person. It's in the right spot. And again, I don't think this is hey, we have to see 70 minutes of this guy. I think it's when the legs start to go and Liam Delap's still coming back from injury. Like, let's not make two bones about it. He is not playing great right now. it's these last 20 minutes in which we drop off typically. And if he's able to lead the line with the press, I think it inspires everyone else to go too and continue playing the style which got us into the position in the first place. So I was really, really happy with him yesterday, Dan. And I think that he opened a lot of eyes to people who might have doubted his ability.
Yeah, I think that that's a very fair point. I know you want to. What else you want to say about Guiu and the striker situation, Chidge?
Well, there's not really much to add to what Nick said, which I fundamentally agree with. I thought he did brilliantly yesterday with that assist, and yeah, he makes a difference when he comes on. I'm prepared to be very patient with Delap. I mean, he's young, which of course is our get out for everything these days, but he is young. He's making his way in a big club, having been at a tiny club. I also worry about, is the system right for a striker like him? That worries me a little bit. But the main concern at the moment is he's just clearly not match fit and match sharp, and that's why he needs minutes, and he will get there. I think he gives me the impression he's not the kind of guy. Well, I hope not, but he gives me the impression that he's not the kind of kid that's going to let his head drop if he doesn't score a few goals soon. At least I hope not. So I would stick with him and be patient. On Guiu, I mean, Guiu, when he has played, you can't hit a cow's arse with a banjo, that we know that. But he does bring something to the team. And this is why I'm always in favour of having a striker, even if they're shit like Nicholas Jackson was, because they create chances for other people. I'm being unfair on Jacko, I know, but he couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo either. But I could see that when you had him on the pitch, he was an out ball. He could hold the ball. Well, Jackson not so much, but a striker can hold the ball up. He can play other people in. He takes a central defender out. He creates space and opportunities and chances for other people to score. And that's kind of what you want. I mean, I'd rather have that any day of the week than some 4'3" fecking false number 9, which is utterly pointless in my book. The other thing I would add to that, Dan, is that I think in terms of the development of this squad, which is, I think, moving in a very interesting direction, if you've got players like Guiu who will improve and can come on in the last 10 minutes and run riot, if you've got players like Estevao who can come on in the last 10, 15 minutes and run riot, because if Chelsea are keeping the ball a lot for a lot of these matches, the opposition are going to tire because they're chasing the ball all the time. And then when they tire, last kind of 10, 20 minutes, you bring these players on and they can make a huge impact. And I'm kind of liking how that's shaping up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take a look at it, we've not had less than 50% of the ball in any single game. And then you think about Crystal Palace 71, Sunderland 68, Brentford 66. Like, we've had plenty of games where we've had substantial amounts of the ball. And I think to your point, having a squad of developing depth that you could go to an Estevao, you could go to a Guiu, you can go to a Gittins from Garnacho or Garnacho to a Gittins and have them come on and absolutely run at and force the issue with tired defenses, tired defenders, because not every squad has the ability, Nick, to spend as much money as Chelsea does to retrofit their entire side and to be able to reset. Most teams are not resetting their right back and their left back during the game to get them free. We're going to put on a new winger and we're going to run at him.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is part of the evolution that I want to see, though, right? Is like when we're up, I think the mood in the team is good and they're able to fight for each other. I think when we've been in more precarious situations in a game state, where whether we're drawing or we're down or whatever, I think the team has shown panic in those situations. And I want to see them just attack the moment as if it's 0-0 and try and go get the winner and try and go push forward. I think that will show, if by the end of the season we start to see that will show maturity, that they are learning, that they are growing, that they are better understanding game state, and that they aren't doing silly things like getting a bunch of red cards for no reason. All these things really do matter. And I do think a team that is willing to run for each other, right? That is willing to create space for each other, that is willing to create chances for each other, is a really, really dangerous team, especially in this league, that can get really focused around one person or another person, or the star striker or the star number 10 or whatever. So I just want to see them product of playing a bunch of matches together. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but I want to see them by the end of the season take these game states by the scruff of the neck and really put them away, because this was a good example of it working. We've seen plenty of other examples of them maybe not doing that.
I mean, we have gone 4 matches without getting a red card, just if you want to kind of point that in context. So, I mean, in terms of discipline, they are finding that back, Chidge. What did you want to say?
Well, I'm just thinking that, I think at the moment what what a lot of supporters don't have is trust in the team, trust in the manager, trust in the style of play, because I mean, I was there yesterday, and I would imagine. Well, I can't speak for everybody who was there, obviously, but you can get a vibe, can't you? And the vibe was, as I said earlier on, Burnley are going to get another goal. They're going to get a goal, and it's all going to go tits up, and we definitely need another goal, and we're not finding it. So, I think we think that there is always a duff result in this side. Mm-hmm. There's always a stupid sending off in this side. There's always a stupid defensive error. There's always oh shit, they figured out that all you have to do is put a long ball over the top and get 2-on-2 with Chalobah and Tosin, and then we've had it. There's always who's Sanchez going to pass it to, or which member of the opposition is he going to pass it to, or going up the other end, instead of shooting or having an opportunity to score, you pass it sideways to somebody else, So, there's a lack of trust in this. And of course, the reason for a lot of these things is, of course, because we've got such a young side. So when we do concede a goal, our heads drop and we panic. And, it's so difficult because you can see that this side is maturing, is getting better, and there's a lot of things to love about it. But, on the other hand, we all know that if you had a sprinkling of experienced players in there, they would learn quicker. They would get better quicker. They would eradicate some of these stupid mistakes. And I think we go back to where we started, Nick. Are we title challengers? This is why I don't think we are. Because, without that kind of experience, we're going to be making these kind of mistakes. And it's going to take a few years for that to weed its way out, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, this is a wide open league. I think there's a lot of mistakes.
Ever, man?
Yeah, there's just a lot of mistakes across the league, I think. Not just with us as a young team. It's who matures the fastest will be the team that wins. And
I mean, Nick, on that point, right, I know we're all, Dan and I particularly, are very excited that we're only 3 points behind Arsenal in second place, right? Okay, we're in second on 23 points. And then, I mean, if you say that 6 points is kind of gettable, right? If you're 6 points behind somebody, you can get that back. Mm-hmm. So that would be, we're what, 23, so that'd be 17. Okay, 17th. Liverpool are on 18 points in 11th.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. So, and this is the other thing. I mean, we're doing really well. We're second. It's great. But we could lose a couple of games. We could be mid-table again.
I mean, I also look at this too, Dan, as like, which teams have gone through adversity at this point of the season, which teams haven't, right? Every league ebbs and flows. You're going to get teams. We
started it with Cole Palmer not being available. Liam Delap. No, we've got like all the red cards. Like our adversity hit early in the season.
Because we were in the Club World Cup, because we didn't get a proper preseason, all the stuff. Like the fact that we made it through that part, all these international breaks, we're dealing with the fallout from that. And we will continue to deal with the fallout from that most of the season, I feel. But has Arsenal gone through a really tough patch yet?
They're about to, without Gabriel, aren't they?
Yep, I think so. And City, obviously not the clinical team that they once were. Interesting, right? Like Spurs, we have no clue what that team is, but they certainly didn't impress when we played them. Liverpool, really going through it. Do they bounce back and make a hash of it? I don't know. The whole league, I think, is going to be at various different stages when we play them. And it's just like, do we get a little bit of the rub of the green where we're playing someone when they're not at their peak? That's it.
So this kind of gets into our whole big week ahead theory. I mean, again, not just a good weekend for Chelsea winning our own game, but Forest winning 3-0 over Liverpool. Fantastic. Newcastle beating Man City 2-1. also great to see. I mean, as Chidge reminds you and reminds all of us that at least at time of recording, Arsenal are currently on 26 points, 11 matches played. We are in second place in the table, 12 matches played, 23 points. Man City 1 point behind us on 12 matches, 22. Crystal Palace in fourth, 20 points. Brighton 19 points in fifth place. But again, Brighton, Sunderland, Bournemouth all have 19 points, exactly as everybody drew it up starting into the season. This was the way that the table was going to look here. No surprise. We face Barcelona in the midweek, and then we have Arsenal in the weekend. I mean, in terms of big opposition, going big game hunting, Enzo Maresca, like this is, I think, a defining week. You go out and win these two matches, you are kind of in rarefied air of individuals in terms of managerial experience, Chidge. But if you don't, it can get, I mean, what would you take? What would you accept? What's acceptable performance to you across these two matches?
But Barcelona and Arsenal, I want to win them both, obviously. God's sake.
Well, we want, but like in terms of acceptable, like if you're saying, hey, you only have to win one, if you can only win one, or things of that nature.
Acceptable would be a draw in each. I would take a draw in each, but I clearly want to win. I don't think Barcelona. I think Barcelona's attack is frightening, but I don't rate them anywhere else. So I think we can get at them. Arsenal. I mean, what I want most of all. I mean, as we mentioned it earlier. I can't remember if we were on air or not, but being at the Emirates last season and we put up the white flag before the ball had even been kicked. I don't want to see that. I want to see us give it a go. Give it a damn go. I mean, Gabriel will be out. They're not superheroes. I think we could give them a game and we'll be at home. I mean. Arsenal are a tricky side because I think that they will. I think that they will probably. They won't be like Liverpool were when we played them at home. Liverpool gave it a go, which actually gave us the space to, to crack on and win. But I think Arsenal will be much more cagey and can try and control the game, and that could be a real problem for us. But man, give it a go. If you want to be where we want us to be, you've got to do that. Don't just sit there and go, "Oh, we'll try and control the game and keep hold of the ball."
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I look at these two games. I was talking to Matt Law about this for the Friday pod. I think it's the biggest week that Chelsea have had in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It really, I think you have an opportunity against Barcelona, absolutely, to get at them. They will come to play. They're going to come to put on a show. And so Chelsea have to be aware and, engage in the right way. Arsenal, I want us to no prisoners hell. I want this to be a difficult, gritty, I don't give a shit if it's a 1-0 and it goes off someone's ass. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Gotta beat them. I think if you beat them, the rest of the season is completely wide open. But if you don't, I think it's a difficult climb.
I mean, sorry, Dan, go on.
No, I was to say, well, I mean, I do think if you're looking at like, is this the time to get at Arsenal? Like, with the injuries that they're now going through and the challenges that they're going to potentially be presented with, I do think you are getting them at a time where you might be in a little bit of a health ascendancy and they might be in a little bit of a health kind of clawback or decline. And so if you're looking for any type of things to say, like, what could be better for us here? What could make this situation better? The only thing could be like Liam Delap deciding to score, a goal against Barcelona, in the midweek and just starting to fire on all cylinders. That would be like the last thing that could help us in this scenario.
Could I request that no other Chelsea players break their toes doing innocuous things at home? That would be a tremendous asset to the group. So yeah.
I mean, you're right. You're right, Dan. I think it is arguably a good. I mean, who have they got in the Champions League this week? Does anybody know? Arsenal.
I will pull it up as you
pull it up. I'm looking at our last results against them at home. I mean, you see, I hate
Bayern.
Oh, lovely. Away or at home?
At home, but on Wednesday we have one more day of rest.
Good. Okay. I hope Bayern Munich smashed them. I mean, I hate Arsenal. I cannot tell you how much I hate Arsenal because I had to put up with them. When Wenger turned up, they would beat us every year, and it was just soul destroying. And you kind of went there thinking we're never going to beat these bastards. And then Mourinho turned up and he turned it round completely. And then the ball was on the other foot and it's been joyous. But recently it's gone back the other way, much to my utter despair. But at home, we've drawn against them in the last two times. Then we lost before that. And then we lost before that.
It's been a bad run against them, Chidge.
We lost before that.
You don't have to keep reading it.
True. The last time we beat them at home was 2019 when we stuffed them 4-1. Right? So we owe them. We need to beat them. We really need to beat them. And I think if I can't ever want Spurs to win anything.
Mm-mm.
So I'll settle for a draw and a shitload of sendings off and injuries today. And I hope Bayern Munich smash them and Harry Kane gets at least 4 goals just to really upset them. And then bring it on. Bring it on next Sunday, man.
That would be ideal. And I mean, ultimately, that is a good place to kind of couch this one, because ultimately, Chelsea, they win. The weekend goes really, really well. Hopefully, as we all exit our recording here, when we go watch Arsenal, hopefully lose in wonderful fashion. That would be fantastic. And we then get to see them maybe lose 3 straight. That would just be a phenomenal week for them to potentially see. But we appreciate it, as always, Chidge, getting you back on. We look forward to seeing you when we're over in the UK in just over a month's time at this point in time. And Nick, it's a pleasure as always too. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.